Hi, welcome to hashtag Poetry Goes Viral, a weekly poetry reading here on the Carolina Facebook page and the Carolina Poets YouTube channel. If you are tuning in tonight, we have three lovely readers for you today. Or if you're tuning in the future, I don't know what's going on in the future. I imagine we all have flying cars. Do we all have flying cars and like free healthcare? I hope we do. I hope we do. Crossing my fingers. It's only a matter of time. But if you're not watching in the future, if you're watching it right now, hello, people watching it right now. I want you to do a couple of things for me. I want you to first of all share this video and be like, "Oh my God, there's an amazing poetry reading going on. You should watch it too." And then you share it with your friends, and then they all come in, and it's a big party. And then also jump into the comment section so that you can like cheer the poets on and say like, "Oh hey, what's up? Hey, I know that person. What's up? Ah!" And then like respond to all of the poems. So if you can do that for me, that would be absolutely amazing. Our three poets this evening include Elizabeth Robin. Say hello. Miho Kinnas.
Hello.
And Georgia Hertz.
Hi.
It doesn't always hurt. Sometimes it votes Democrat. So, hey, not so bad. So we're going to kick off. I'm really, really excited. I'm going to introduce the first poet to you. If you've never seen this series before, it's here every week on the Carolina Poets page. If you keep watching until the end, make sure to like, that page. What's it called? The page on Facebook. You can like it and you click the like button. Hey, there's an event and there's an event. So make sure to like it so you can see all of our amazing events. I'm going to get rid of our lovely poets here, but you're only going to have to see this ugly mug for just a couple of seconds while I introduce our first poet of the evening, Elizabeth Robin. She is a retired high school teacher, has 2 collections of poetry through Finishing Line Press. They are called Where Green Meets Blue, published in 2018, and Silk Purses and Lemonade in 2017. She is a poet of witness and discovery, relating both true and fictional stories about her Lowcountry present and world-traveling past, also published in fiction and nonfiction. Her work appears most recently in Drunk Monkeys, great magazine, love it, the Broadkill Review, I Am Not a Silent Poet, Blue Mountain Review, Good Juju, I think I've heard of that one, The Fourth River, Foliate Oak, and Reflections. Robin emcees a monthly open mic and partners with arts groups to bring literary programs to Hilton Head Island, where she lives. Please welcome, if you're on a train, if you're in an apartment building, if you're watching this getting drunk on your couch, please put your hands together for Elizabeth Robin.
Gotta say, Derek, I don't think I've ever had quite that vivacious an introduction before. Thank you. It's pretty wonderful. I decided today, and normally I start with the readings from my 2 books, and I decided I'd rather read some newer things and some things that maybe take you on a tour into places I love to escape in nature, in art, and perhaps not think about reality too much today. So the first piece I'm going to read you is actually the first piece in a new collection that I've sent out to publishers, and it's called In Clouds. In Clouds. A bird appears in silhouette, so high it dances with the clouds, milky and swirling. Its circles seem lazy, looping without purpose. At first, concentric laps, then figure 8s, oval meanderings higher and higher. I look away and lose sight, think, did it dive, disappear inside a cloud? I never know. Even the cloud, substantial only minutes, dissolves. This bird, so distant, always traveling, I can't identify, but I know this journey. I took a pretty epic trip in 2018. My goal was 34 national parks. I made it to 28 and a lot of other stuff. It was just me, my dog, Byron, and we were in a little teardrop camper. And I wrote a lot of poems as I sat in nature. In Clouds was one of them. And this is another that I wrote in the Smokies. I call it Stalking. I wander in places packed with couples, my aloneness scraped bare. A war metal solitude lifts and separates, like that serviceable yet supportive bra that tends sagging breasts. I become river sand, wet muck filling cracks, holes dried and brushed away. I hear whispers in the Smokies, rushing voices with the water. Ghosts reveal secrets here, speak in glittering ashes. Solitude weary, I stalk directories, read nature's signs, wild daffodils blossom, scarlet hides under the azalea's umbrella, rain pummels. Cardinals sing, drops dance on the flat green water. Two eagles hunt above the pines. Turkey-sized vultures await scraps. How can I know their language? I want to understand. Much like the cuckold landing invites an attractive parasite, the wind brings change. I must ride a flying bicycle, yet I waste memories in minutia instead of dancing in a mushroom forest. This is a new piece, actually. I wrote it a couple of weeks ago. Another Finishing Line Press poet who was on CarolinaPoets is also an accomplished artist. I love these creative people that do three more things really well too. Her name is Janet Kozacek, and there was a ekphrastic poetry event at an art gallery that was exhibiting her work. And I did this piece based on a mosaic that she had called Dreaming of Better Outfits. And it's called Dream Chambers. In her peasant dress, the cold tile floor pressing into her cheek, she sleeps among pots and vessels she carries to and from the spring to fill and balance atop her head for the miles home, back and forth, most of the day, until water fills the soup pot and cistern and wash tub. Her labors begin in the dark and end in the dark, neck and back screaming as she floats in dream chambers, scene by scene. And a dream tip turns the clock back to a time of a bustle, a neck to ankle flow of muslin, a cream hat windswept like a sloop sail, and a flirt of kinky, kicky booties. Upside down, she dreams in practicalities, a fruity tea dress, scoop-necked comfort, a goddess in strappy gold sandals. The indigo wide-brimmed drama tops a swishy swing dress, hips sway, thighs firm in knee-length suede high-heel boots. The pinstripe power suit clings, her hour-shaped silhouette clear. Sturdy stilettos stomp a corner office. Each compartment travels where she lives a put-together life, where water comes to her at the touch of her fingertips. Sexy, powerful, a beauty to be watched and treasured. This next piece, I like to do pieces about working people because I was one. Teachers, they go to work every day. They don't get a lot of, money or trophies for what they do. And it's wonderful work. This particular piece is inspired by a really famous piece of art. I don't whether you're an art person or not. I'm pretty sure you would recognize this one. It's by Rene Magritte, and it's he did a whole series of iterations of a guy in a bowler hat, and so one of his most famous pieces inspired this poem. Fruitless struggle. He erased me with an apple. Yes, an apple. There's an apple stuck to my face. Not stuck, more floating, huge, blown out of proportion, so my face disappears from view. Pay for a portrait, definition, painting, depicting only the face. Get a gigantic green apple fresh off the tree, leaves still attached, so that I can see nothing, just greenness, that limey apple green neon that blots out everything else. And I'm dressed for the day too. Crisp, starched white shirt, rosy tie, perfect knot, Windsor style, charcoal three-piece, pressed, tailored trim, and sweet. Not to mention the bowler hat to end all hats, brim perfection. I am a dream man. Is there a landscape? I don't see a landscape, or people, or places, no background, no foreground. Some might call me worldless or faceless. It's surreal, really. The fee should include a face, right? A working man deserves a face. And what does that title mean? Not my name, not any reference to me, my job, not even the damned apple. The Great War? The guy makes no sense. Okay, we're moving away from art for a minute. People always ask me, I went like over 19,000 miles on that trip I mentioned, and people always ask me, so what was your favorite national park? And I was surprised the first time that this was my answer, but this is my answer. It was the Badlands in South Dakota. And I gotta admit, when I was heading out on the trip, I wasn't thinking that South Dakota was a place I really would want to do more than drive through. It's a lot more. It's a lot more. So I thought I would take you on a tour of South Dakota. And I call this piece Bits of Dakota. Dawn breaks to the soft quilt of the meadowlark's song and a moonscape terrain budding from pastures dotted with black-eyed daisies and flitting magpies. Cottonwood snow drifts across the camp, dances along, or sticks. The air still. The fly bites vicious. Mud splashed along the Missouri River Trail, an early morning storm blows. Lightning warns, thunder rolls, rain cools. Prairie dogs pop up, bark warnings, a bob and weave, communal grace. As the breeze sweeps the grasslands, dodging coyotes and pinto colts, a constant call to do-si-do in the river woodlands wind. In Sturgis, without motorcycle or man, angry clouds threaten, hail pelts in golf balls. I notice the bull in a grazing herd, standing apart, large and posturing. Notice his immense sex, bluster, snorting, head shaking about, a bravado meant to scare. The cows, a unit of minimal differences, color, size, demeanor, blend, huddled in a mass. There are so many cows. Skies bold with pastels, pink, lavender, lemon, peach, sherbet, sunsets. Night brings drama, a stage lit with a round, bright moon, unfiltered stars, Venus and Jupiter, bloated lanterns. A wild wind whipping, lashing tree limbs. Hair unfurled, I stop, feel its soft, brute force as I watch the Big Dipper inch across the sky. This piece harkens back to my childhood. I was a Navy dependent, and we lived all over the world. And one place we lived was Quito, Ecuador. And I was really little then. I was 3 years old when we moved there. And this remains my strongest memory of that place. Starving. They boiled my blue-eyed Julie in the hubcap of our 1952 Bel Air mint green two-door Chevy. Her kittens bundled in my baby carriage sucked milk from an eyedropper, makeshift pots and feeders for the abandoned and hungry of Quito. The last piece I'm going to read tonight, my favorite place to escape is an art museum. I feel like I can spend hours there and be completely entertained and fall into wherever I'm looking at the scene and just be there. And it's such a safe and wonderful place. I can spend hours in one. And my favorite, I mean, I was lucky as a kid. My parents took me to all the great museums in the world. It was amazing. But my favorite is this little jewel in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It's not that big a museum. And it has a little of everything. It's just pretty wonderful. You might know it because you saw Rocky. And when Rocky is training in that film, he runs through the streets of Philadelphia. And then at the culmination of his run, he goes up this big flight of stairs. And that flight of stairs leads up to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. There's actually a statue of Rocky Balboa at the top of those stairs now. But there's also that wonderful museum that I love so much. So I wanted to take you on a tour of the museum for my last poem tonight. And especially my favorite painting there, which is called The Bathers. It's an Auguste Renoir painting. It's really quite lovely. I saunter in the museum. I stop to enjoy a languid bath on a hot day near Limoges, a place of delicate fine china where women laze and splash in the icy Vienne river waters that rush down from Grenoble. In the spring, my nude Rubenesque companions splash and gossip. The morning hours revel, unfettered, unwatched, unabashed. Corsets and neck-to-toe fabrics tossed aside to reveal alabaster bodies, shaped and sturdy and scrubbed clean, thick hair washed and braided or tossed up off necks toasting in the early sun. August moment, this company of women, unencumbered by their men or children. I might face a chilling splash, but no one stops me here. Wandering rooms of furry teacups in the golden glow of Amida Buddha, surveying lacquered chests, carved teak, the curved sensuality of the practical Pennsylvania side chair. I push on, settle into the rhythm of refuge, fall in and out of imagined possibilities. I pause in my drawing room, a mint green confection topped by a ceiling of curlicues and murals. It's neoclassical decor, so the plaque reads, a 3-year renovation that killed its mistress. I cross Monet's Japanese footbridge at Giverny, push into the countryside, outside the walled village, settle under Pissarro's dainty apple tree, feel the joyful connection as my eyes lock with Cassatt's cheeky blue-eyed daughter. Outside time, tucked into visions as real as melting clocks or raining men, or the hope that lions and tigers guard a sleeping woman's dreams. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear Miho and Georgia read.
Hello, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Can we get a round of applause for Elizabeth? I'm going to put the links to Elizabeth's books in the chat in just a moment, so that we will have that. Sorry, I am pulling up the. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our next poet of the evening. Our next poet is Miho Kinnas. She's also going to be reading some stuff that's related to art, so that should be really fun. A little bit of coalescence happening. That's a word that I know. Yeah, I know you're impressed. Miho Kinnas is a Japanese poet and translator. In 2020, she was invited to the Balcony Poetry Festival of Saudi Arabia, the Singapore Writers Festival, and the Pat Conroy Literary Festival. Her poetry training includes an MFA from the City University of Hong Kong, the Iowa Advanced International Writers Workshops in Creative Nonfiction and Poetry, and the Queen's University Summer School at the Seamus Haney Poetry Center. That is amazing. Wow. The Bellatrix magazine nominated Miho for the 2018 Push Cart Prize. She lives on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Her poetry books, Today, Fish Only, and Move Over Birds. I don't know why, but I feel like I have to say it that way. Move Over Birds by Math Paper Press are available from the Book Lady bookstore. And I'm going to put a link also to that in the comment section. Please give a big round of applause to Miho.
Hi, my name is Miho Kinnas. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. And I'm so tickled and excited to be called Carolina Poet. I'm really honored. I moved here with my husband 6 years ago, and I did not know anybody. I knew very few people in America as well. So first thing I did, I live in Hilton Head Island. First thing I did was to join the Audubon Society. As soon as I moved, I noticed there are so many strange looking birds I'd never seen before. And I got tired of saying big bird, blackbird, white bird. I wanted to know the names. I wanted to know them. So I joined Audubon Society. That was the first thing I did. And the bird watchers, they're nice people. They're very friendly, and they show me how to use binoculars or, point out where the bird is and what the name is. And then they told me, Miho, you have to get a Sibley. Okay. And I didn't know what it was, but a Sibley was the name of the field guide. And they said, this is the best one. And, I did use it. It's really beautiful. There are so many birds in it. It's very well thought of. It's a wonderful field guide. But I had never thought about how this field guide was made. It does say written and illustrated by David Allen Sibley, but I really never paid attention until I watched a webinar about a month ago. That was, moderated by our own Drew Langham, the Professor Langham, and he was the moderator. And one of the guests was none other than David Allen Sibley, and I was fascinated by him. So I was, he drew every single bird in this book with pencil sketch and put the watercolor. It's just amazing. I was fascinated. So I was doing a lot of research on him, watching YouTube, reading up interviews. Then that day, one day, Al Black, our poetry organizer, event organizer, called and said, Miho, do you want to do ekphrastic poetry reading? Which Miss Elizabeth Robin talked about, the same event I went to. So I never say no to Al Black. So I said yes. And then he gave me the file of the art collections by Janet Kozacek. And I saw this picture. Derek, would you show everybody the picture? And I saw this one and I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. So ekphrastic, normally you look at the picture and you start thinking. But in this case, I was already thinking and this art came to me. So I wrote this piece. Let's see. It's called the Birds of a Feather. And as I was looking at this, other things came together. So this poem starts like this. Okay. It is a poet. If it is poetry, it would be haiku. If it is music, it would be Haydn. If it's a book, it would be field guide. So the rest of the poems are written in 575 syllables. I just use the form of haiku. Okay, I'm going to read the whole poem. Birds of a Feather. After Janet Kozacek, calibrating an eye, mixed media mosaic. If it is poetry, it would be haiku. If it's music, it would be Haydn. If it is a book, it would be field guide. I saw a fast bird flying over a green pond, left to right and back. Spotting the belt around the neck, I wondered if it was a kingfisher. I committed the right profile to my memory. My field guide always shows that side. Kingfishers I know, perch by the Highway 17 as if counting cars. Spotting while flying, all birds render different look, maybe the true self. Sibley birds east, list kingfishers, green, ringed, and belted, in scale on the left. Ringed weighs twice as much as belted, and the green only a fifth of belted. Belted kingfisher in flight matches my memory, and it's a boy. David Sibley draws kingfishers from one template and adds differences. Every gouache brush shows how the feathers settle and where plumage fits. Sketches are motifs, fleeting images of a bird shaped and arrested. Thank you. Derek, show me the picture of Goya. So, of course, Goya is a famous Spanish painter, and he drew so many paintings. And this is the painting somehow Derek chose to do ekphrastic poetry. I would never choose this, but he did. This poem's wonderful. Let me read his poem. Saturn devouring his sun, after Goya. Once I swallowed a stone I mistook for a sun. Opened jaws and the solar system broke orbit. I gobble everything mistaken for divine, floss my teeth with thunderbolts, digest bones of sacrificial deer, carve an altar from this tongue honey serrated. Swish whiskey, gargle the ocean. Blood too, its salt or song, horror gospel spilling down my chin. Of what sudden ruin are we capable when appetite drowns sense? I drain a bottle, chew the glittering bits, grief bedazzled, and paint every wall in the house black. This is really good, and it's kind of amazing how we choose the art and what kind of different poetry we write. I really love working with other people, in the different ways. Okay, yes, Derek, the other one, the other picture, please. So this one is another art by Janet. And this one came, I started with the art and my poetry came together. So when I saw this art, I just thought about this kitchen, wonderful kitchen I have been in about 3 years ago in Japan. And it's in the countryside and it was a farmhouse. And the kitchen was huge. It was a large one, but very functional. And it was designed by the mother of my friend. Well, my friend is a poet and I translated her poetry. So I really had a wonderful time there. So I was thinking about the kitchen and this black figure in the middle. To me, it looked like the kitchen god. And that's a Japanese mythology. And it's called a Big Black. But Big Black is actually a man. And this figure is clearly a woman. So I was thinking another historic, it's actually prehistoric piece of art. And there is a earthen figure that we found, excavated in Japan. So all those things came to my mind. And I was thinking about another thing. It's about my niece. So, that's how poem came together. This one is called To My Niece. After Janet Kozacek, Black Lioness, Mixed Media Mosaic. I often think of kitchen goddess, black, dense, obsidian black of volcanic glass. When the days are shorter, I often think of her. This year, more so than usual. She is the wide-hipped prehistoric goddess, black, dense, obsidian black of volcanic glass. The lunar phases cartwheel in her belly, and this year the pace of birth and rebirth quickened. And you, my niece, for the first time out of uniform, thought you lost control during the birth of your son. You can handle fear, but being out of control was not acceptable. It is never about the pain. Some women ride the wave while being afraid, but there are the rest of us who cannot let it go. I want you to know, my niece, this year, the kitchen goddess knew she needed to be faster and fiercer, so she became a black lioness. She sits on her throne in the center of the hearth. The black lioness watches life, wealth, and harvest. Strong out of control. Black, dense obsidian black of volcanic glass. Thank you. Okay. I am going to read 2 more poems. And one, again, also by Derek, and one by me. Both poems take place at the swimming pool. So I decided to pick those 2. As you can see, Derek and I, my poetry are very different, and we're very different people too, as you can see. But when I was reading his poem, And, subject matters are totally different what we're dealing with. But I felt like really we are writing about the same thing. So, okay. So listen to these. Okay, his poem. By the way, this is his lovely chapbook that was published this year. Oh, this is really nice. Okay, it's called Dare. All night, bursts of light, fireworks in the thunderstorm. Leave it to Florida to try to outdo God. We are married to recklessness, so we stripped and sprung into the pool. Nude and sunburned, we dare the sky to smite us. The water broth warm, rain rippled. The night's noise smoke startled us, and we sunk to the tiled bottom, where we kissed, risked electrocution. You tasted like a stranger, we were strangers, and when we rose to the surface, we wrenched regret from our mouth. Nice. I really like this piece. My poem is called The Swimming Pool, but the title of my first book is called The Today Fish Only. This title came from this poem. Okay. Swimming pool. The receptionist warns, the water temperature is high today. My muscles lose strength. Swimmers fall asleep floating. I hear noises in the shower. I listen, nothing. I stick my head back. A few dialects streak out of the shower head. The next day, the receptionist apologizes. The water temperature is low today. The water is tinted blue and my skin turns squid transparent. In the shower, a woman screams in polite Japanese. そのようなことがあるわけはございません. Such a thing cannot be happening. The following sunny day, the receptionist winks. Today, it is for fish only. I am a good swimmer, but I was caught, rolled up in the fishnet of golden thread. Thank you so much. Derek, come back to your poetry after you finish writing your novel.
I will definitely come back to poetry. No worries. Thank you, Miho. That was really, really kind of you. Gosh, I really love your poetry. We have one last poet for you this evening. Her name is Georgia Hertz. She is absolutely incredible. Let me introduce you to her. Georgia Hertz is a queer writer, musician, and artist from North Carolina. She has a BA in history from the College of Charleston. Her poems have previously appeared in Homology Lit, and several are forthcoming in The Swamp and Peculiar. When she's not following her creative pursuits, she can be found teaching her dog how to swim. You can follow her at the Georgia Moon. I'm going to put her website and some of her information in the comment section. Please welcome Georgia.
Hi, cheers, everybody. So grateful to be here. Thank you, Derek, for inviting me. I would like to read several poems for you this evening. The first one I would like to start is titled To My Mother, and it is a sonnet. If I was like a star and you were to nestle me inside your spiral arms, so galactic and impermanent, would you still rock me to sleep by the afterglow of suns extinguished? Last photons were cast across eons of darkness to reach us, to travel just as love does. A ship's mast supports the weight of sails, sure as a truss holds a roof above. Now, don't you think a mother carries a daughter just the same? She, the creator, constructs night and day a structure for the girl daughter to proclaim, I am of you and I am for myself. You love me, so I learn to love myself. I've been working on a series of sonnets, and I'm on sonnet number 70. My goal is to reach 100 by the end of this year, and I think I can manage that. But continuing on, this is another piece about space and mythologies. It's titled, "But You Are Not a Titan." Strength is spit shining your lover's resume so he can leave you faster, packing up boots, carrying out clothes to your car because his pickup cannot hold you. Anyway, it's shouldering him like Atlas or maybe Orion, letting go, never wondering if he'll come back. You ponder what puckered kisses meant, silent to you, the heavens above, all you ever wanted for the freckles across your back, to spell out a constellation, perhaps 3 stark stars, semi-linear in formation, hoisting a nebula at the hip, all you ever needed, for your skin to bruise in colors akin to starry night, yellow or boldly blue, so you can stop painting yourself into places you'll never be. Before the leaving began, you were happy. Now you leave in little ways, vaguely, slowly, piece by lowly piece. So that wasn't quite an acrostic poem, but I did sneak a Vincent van Gogh piece in there. I just love the art of the pieces that we've heard earlier this evening. All right. So this poem was published over a year ago now. It's called Define Dream. 1. Ocean. To dream of the ocean is not unlike dreaming of a desert, a parting, or a sorrow. Full and round, perhaps one pregnant with purpose, or else nothing of consequence, a plunge not to be feared. 2. Seagull. To dream a seagull is to breathe salt into lungs, not unlike Lot's wife. Pillar, poised to refresh, wave after wave, a beach of shell and glass, maybe rock, with cries and raucous laughter in company of like minds, and to never stop searching for bread. 3. Feather. To dream of this, a single small white feather, perhaps cupped in palm or fluttering to the ground whereupon you tread the path leading home, is to know forevermore you are already there. So, thank you for listening. I don't really know what to say in between my poems, so I'm just going to keep rolling on. I'm writing a lot about place and my identity in terms of geographic location, like how different cities and towns and places influence my speaking voice, my writing voice. This next poem is titled Tidal Creek. It was written in my backyard when I lived in West Ashley, outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Here we go. Tidal Creek. Brackish through the backyard, our tidal creek weeps to the stono, flooding and unflooding again, drowning crab holes and snake dens. Again, running over pilings and ropes abandoned but for the pluff mud holding fast and warm, sticky soft. We are assembling a home here by pollen, live oak limbs, copperheads and water moccasins. For ourselves, our ghosts, and our shadows growing longer and more svelte each passing day. I fast longer. Sweat, gnats, mosquitoes drain me, but I keep work to keep our home among the river muck. How many more times will your dog run to me when I call her name? She is older than you know, and I am growing too. I do not think here would be bad to be buried, where herons caw at dusk and marsh crabs scuttle across toes and gloaming. What was Tidal Creek? I just got a few more. I don't want to take up too much of everyone's evening, but I hope you've been enjoying this. This next poem was published in an anthology last year as well. So as her 2019, but last year doesn't seem to have existed at all for me. And let me be quiet. Hands, mind, eyes. This is a villanelle. So I play a lot with form, and I enjoy the constraints of form and how I can push the boundaries of that and still constrain myself. Okay, so this is a villanelle. Let me be quiet. Hands, mind, eyes. When your eyes face north and south, it's easy to run towards the setting sun. Let us ride west together. I hear there's gold undiscovered still, palomino or buckskin, old and roaned. Or perhaps it's easy to run towards the setting sun when baby doves fall to earth. Bury them, palomino skinned, not yet fledgling, beneath the tree where their parents raised them. When baby doves fall to earth, bury them. Long ago, doves taught me their song of mourning under the tree where I was raised. Hear me mimic them in the gloaming, my hands whistling a poor melody of mourning. Speak. I know there are words you've eaten. I can only mimic what dusk has taught me, and I ache for substance, a swift snap of hawk and knee. Speak, sure as the bit between your teeth together. There is gold to be discovered yet. A large barrel and a light, quick foot will get us far, for it's easy when your eyes face north and south. Gonna change gears a little bit and do I'll do two more. This is a newer poem written, over quarantine. I was reflecting back on my time. I lived in England for several months. During my undergraduate years, I was in Oxford. So this is sort of a remembrance of my time there. Oxford Sans Eye. Would the path once walked, remember? Asphalt paved from dorm to Porter's Lodge, through the apple orchard and its flood of tulips, past the pond with swans, the butter-yellow stones that rise toward heaven. The wisteria must be trembling outside the bar, the trellis, the columns. Down the street from Jericho's brick cafes and cobbled lanes, cows frolic in the meadow. Had springtime ever been loved before? A pub there across the river Isis, where willows line the shore, thatched and sturdy beams within. Perhaps a cask-cooled pint of ale, and a seat on the bench in shade ancient and austere, and a weep for memories gone. Can they hear far across an ocean? Do they know the longing? The cobblestone streets, the tall garden gates, the wisteria, the orchard, my pond of swans. Thank you so much for listening. This has been my pleasure to, read these poems with you tonight. I'm going to do one more titled Kindling, or Meditations on a Mist Period. Seasick on land and the way the wives warn me, it isn't just at dawn. Sometimes I carry pennies in my mouth, but will spew them at the floor and mourn metallic click. I eat more ginger candies. My body holds her weight low around the hip and thighs, which opened but did not scorn my drawers with blood this month. This is the way I know, the embrace, the tenacity of grasping at straws beneath the logs in the pit. A flicker, a quickening of eyes, of tongue, of spit. I did not wish for such a simple thing to spark into a flame and dance. I threw my coins onto linoleum, no well to draw from there. Thank you for listening, and I hope some of that resonates. Comment, send me a message.
All right, thank you, Georgia. I'm gonna take you off real quick. Thank you for listening. If you want to check out the work of any of our readers, you can find it in the comment section. So scroll up. You can find the different links to Elizabeth Robin's books, including Where Green Meets Blue and Silk Purses and Lemonade. You can find Miho's books, order them from the Book Lady bookstore, which is a really fantastic bookstore. Really love that bookstore. You can find that link also in the comments, and you can, I'm going to put Georgia's website so you can also read her music, but also Georgia is a kick-ass singer-songwriter who you should totally also check out. So check out them Bandcamp tunes in the comment section as well. Okay, bam. Just put the website down there as well. It's going in there. Yeah, there it is. So if you love this and you are like, oh my God, I've never heard of this before, we have a weekly reading series with poets that are of the Carolinas, whether they live in the Carolinas, whether they're from the Carolinas, whether they passed through once while they were on a bus and, used the bathroom in a North Carolina gas station. Next week, our poets are Peter Glavitsky, Emma Stevens, and Paisley Adams. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to share this reading with everyone, and y'all have a good